Awakening with Brahma Kumaris.
ओम शांति। अवेकनिंग विद ब्रह्मा कुमारीज में आज फिर आप सबका बहुत बहुत स्वागत। आज हम बात करेंगे प्रेम की। प्रेम जो सबसे ऊपर है, जो हमारा मूल संस्कार है। लेकिन आज हम ये देख रहे हैं कि हमारे अपने ही रिश्तों में, चाहे वो रिश्ता माँ या बेटी का हो, या फिर पिता पुत्र का हो, या फिर पति या पत्नी का हो, या फिर आगे हम चलें तो ईश्वर के साथ हमारा रिश्ता हो, उसमें भी कहीं ना कहीं स्वार्थ ने इतनी प्राथमिकता ले ली है, इतनी इम्पोर्टेंस ले ली है कि प्यार कहीं ना कहीं गुम सा गया है, छुप सा गया है। कैसे उस प्यार को अपने रिश्तों में फिर तराश सकते हैं? एक अंतर्राष्ट्रीय व्यू क्या है? अभी तक हम भारतीय परिप्रेक्ष्य में देखते आए थे, लेकिन अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर अगर हम देखते हैं, ग्लोबली अगर हम देखें, तो हर कोई प्यार को ही तलाश रहा था। तो इस पर बातचीत करने के लिए हमारा आज फिर बहुत बड़ा सौभाग्य है। इट्स अ ग्रेट प्रिविलेज। ख़ास सिडनी से हमारे साथ इस वक्त हैं भाई चार्ली। उनसे बातचीत करते हैं। Brother Charlie, a very warm welcome. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Priya.
Brother Charlie, if I look back the way we talked about your experience, love was experience which brought you to Brahma Kumaris. You experienced love from God, and with Him, the connection you felt, and then there was no looking back. If I talk about my own experience, yes, it was love which brought me here. It was professional commitment which brought me here, but then the experience with God, which made me feel so much loved, kept me here. How important love is there? I'm saying how important love is for any relationship to sustain.
Well, I think as we both feel, it's the most important thing of all. And I've noticed that when my heart feels full of love, I feel very easy about myself. Life is very easy. I feel easy and accepting towards other people because love is such an important thing. But I do feel when there's love lacking in life, then the mind can never rest. The mind is searching, seeking, looking. It can never be still. It's why really the taste of true love is so important on this journey of spirituality. Because the first need in life is love. The first desire is love. When that desire is not there, a million other desires develop. Look at our world. Our world's full of desires. People want respect, they want regard, they want material things. To me, it's often a sign that the first need, which is true love, pure love, unadulterated love, is just not being experienced.
And somewhere unconditional also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, definitely. So I totally agree with you that all the desires actually generate from one desire, and that is the desire to be loved.
Yeah.
And giving love. If we talk about love, if we look at love in the real perspective, you talked about pure love, you talked about unadulterated love, the real love, unconditional love. But are we able to look at love in the real perspective, or there are so many mirrors around us that we don't even understand the real aspect of love which we are all seeking?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true, because in our heart, no matter how disillusioned we have been sometimes with our relationships, I think most of us have a little hope, sometimes a big hope, of finding that true love, that true experience of love. So we invest our heart in relationships. But, sometimes our love that we experience is very conditional, I'll love you, but you have to do what I want,
I love you if you'll be like this.
Exactly.
I love you if you'll do this for me,
Exactly.
I love you, Mom, if you will bring this for me.
So it's like love has a contract and a sub-contract and all those sort of things. It's true. Sometimes love is very selfish also because, I think we live in a time, in the demographics in the advertising industry, they often talk about the me generation, the generation me, because we're empty. And a lot of people unconsciously, all they think about is what you can give to me. But I'm sure, Kunapriya, you've seen the happiest people are the givers. And I've noticed that people who give love, give respect, give value, karmically that comes back.
The law of attraction.
Win. The law of attraction, they win the love from the hearts of everyone.
Definitely.
So those selfish people always have high expectations. You should love me. you know how some people are permanently disappointed in others? You know, they're never happy. So sometimes it's conditional, sometimes it's selfish. Sometimes I feel it's very superficial. And I feel the movie industry of today and the books and things have promoted this extremely superficial idea that if you're not head over heels in love with somebody, then, you know, it's not true love.
You have to feel that particular kind of, feeling for that person.
Romantic.
Then only, yeah. You know, here, another thing is, I think somewhere we are not even aware of it.
Yeah.
That this is not the real love.
That's right.
We keep on living in this illusion all our lives, and then we keep on living in pain.
That's
and then we
right.
keep on accepting somewhere, Brother Charlie, that love and pain exist together.
Absolutely.
Somewhere we need to actually talk about it, that there is nothing like love and pain have to exist together.
That's right. That's right.
You know, and we continue to live with that if there is love, then they're bound to be pain.
Yeah,
why?
that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
We have to question that
Yeah.
why? Love has to be without pain.
One of the reasons I think for that is that many people interpret love as a very dependent thing. And you know, when you depend on something, then you're influenced by them. You know, sometimes people have these relationships where I call them love-hate relationships. You really love them, but sometimes you're infuriated by them too. That's a sign that they're very dependent. So you flip from love to pain, love to pain, love to pain. And as you said, we just take that for granted that this is life. But all these forms of love we taste, and yet still people, even in family life, they search for more love. Because it is the love of God. And to me, the subtext of life is this search for this true love. And I think that there's only one relationship that's permanent. I've thought about this a lot, you know, because of course we love our families. Of course we love people around us, but it's for one lifetime, isn't it? It's limited. And that's such a dilemma for most people. I think what I've learned in the relationship with God, which I don't see as just a belief, it's a living, real relationship, as real as you and I sitting here.
Yeah, it's a very dynamic. I totally agree with you. You know, when I had started this series, one thing we had, had these circles where the real relationships had come, you know, that who is the closest. And that time, for me, it was my daughters, my mother, my husband, everybody. But there was no God there. But today, because we never experienced any relationship with God. But today, once you experience that relationship, that dynamic, that real living relationship with Him, then He becomes the priority, you know.
That's absolutely true. And it's really amazing, because when you have your only priority is just others, and you know, people go through their moods, and so my connection's there, so my mood, you know, as you were just saying, pain, love, happiness, sorrow. When God's the relationship of influence, the main influence on my mind, I know stability of mind, and that's such a gift in life. When I feel I'm not going through this huge rocky up, down, you know, like a cork on the waves being buffeted by life, like I'm not in control of my life. You know, many times, to me, I think there's three sources of love in life. There's our families, our relationships, there's God, and there's myself. For many people, the relationship with me is quite dysfunctional. I believe most of the social problems we see in the world come from a lack of self-respect, self-esteem. For many, when they talk about God, we're a bit confused. Who is God? Where does God really fit? So our one source of love is each other. If my relationships are good, life's great. But if they're not, it's devastating. Spirituality is actually reinforcing the first two loving relationships of life, with God and with me. And really, when they become strong, I have such a platform to sustain real quality relationships with other people.
Very true. I totally agree with that, you know, because the moment, how can you fall in love with yourself is when you understand the true self. It's
like, you know, knowing my original state, because, you know, I remember at one point in my life, I began to think there's three people living in my head. Have you ever felt that? And the three distinct personalities with their own sets of sanskars in a way. One is what I would call the eye of arrogance, which is the facade I present to the world, you know. Most of us learn we present a facade that looks good socially, but often it's covering up me inside, the real me. And that one thinks, I know better than others, my opinion's the right opinion. But when that one comes into my feelings, it's like the I of arrogance is the one that's hurt, insulted, feels disrespected, all those ego feelings.
The rejection, yeah, everything.
Rejection.
Hurt is again, there was a time when I used to think that if you have the capability to get hurt, it means it's your strength. But I understand it now, it's the biggest weakness one can have.
It is, in a way. It's a sign of lack of my spiritual strength. So on the facade, we have the I of ego, but it's covering up the vulnerable me, which is the I of lack of self-respect. And really, I've met so many people in my life, world famous people and everything. I know it doesn't matter who it is, behind the air of confidence, often we struggle sometimes to really feel my own value, to sustain a sense of self-respect. And this is the I that thinks that others are better than me, others know more than me, others are more successful than me, others don't like me, others don't want me.
That's in fact very important. In fact, what you are saying is totally true, because the way I've been also interviewing people, the most important people, the most confident people, the most popular people, and when they are in front of the camera or they are projecting themselves, they are a totally different people and we perceive them that way. But the moment the insecurities do come up, was I right? Was it okay?
Absolutely.
Did I say the right things?
That's right.
That is the time when you understand, oh my.
That's right.
It means the insecurities lie somewhere deep within.
That's so true, yeah. And when that vulnerable I, the feelings are inferiority, inadequacy, unworthiness, and what most people do is we swing from that I of arrogance to the I of lack of self-respect.
And then the depression comes.
That's absolute. Bipolar, which is the most common form of depression, is highs and lows, swinging from the facade to the vulnerable self. Spirituality is the middle path. The I of soul-consciousness, we start to really emerge the true I. I can only have a good life when I know who I am, I experience who I am, and I love myself as a soul. And one of my friends was once on the train in Toronto. He was telling me this story. Have you been to Canada in winter ever?
No.
It's very cold. Minus 25, minus freezing. And on this train, all the faces are long and drawn and depressed. And a young woman hopped in with a newborn baby, a few days old. And he said all the faces lit up, these long drawn, depressed looking faces with loving feelings. And I began to think how whenever we find that which is pure, that which is authentic, that which is innocent, it draws our love.
Yeah.
And actually meditation is finding that part in my soul that's pure, that's innocent, that's authentic, that's real, My original blueprint is lovable, is pure. And when I taste self-respect, life becomes magic.
Very true, and so beautifully said actually. These few words make you feel so good. Whenever we talked about it, that I am a beautiful soul, I am a pure soul, I am an innocent soul, it makes me feel so good, somewhere deep. But again, those insecurities, that vulnerability, whether I am good, whether I'll be accepted, so that takes over, and again, the problem comes. So very true, I think the love has to start from within.
It does.
I have to start falling in love with myself first. And not this me, but the real me. After understanding that, wonderful, Brother Charlie. And then from here, I'll try to ask you is that once I fall in love, what is the experience I'll have? How will it change my life?
With God?
No, not only with God, with people. And for me, my perspectives, my self-esteem, my self-respect, how it will change.
Oh, I think. Life becomes satisfying, I feel, because ultimately, one of my friends works with people who are dying, and he's often said when people are dying, there's two things on their mind. Two accounts, really, of life. One is, what sort of person was I? And secondly, how did I treat others? How did I love others? Because all the stuff that I was famous, I was rich, I was powerful, it's meaningless. And yet we spend so much of our life investing in that. To have honest, loving relationships is the beauty of life, but I have to change myself to be able to do that. And I find the key of true love ignites the beauty in the soul. All the other, it like networks with all the original qualities, you know. To be humble, which is a most attractive quality which you don't see so often today, you know. To be gentle with people, to respect people even when they're going through difficult times, to give respect even when sometimes they can't respect. You know, love gives us the power to be the person we really want to be. And that's where I think when we develop that powerful connection and we taste God's love, it kills, I feel ultimately it kills a lot of my ego, which is that part of me which is putting people down, criticizing everyone, you know, that which doesn't win love at all. Love and ego don't really coexist. It's often why the little baby is lovable, because there's minimal arrogance, or if any, you know, that's why we do.
Yeah.
And that's, I think our love goes to people who are humble, people who don't have... Once someone said to me, I love old ladies and little children, because they're humble. They don't have that arrogance.
Very true. But again, you know, once we are filled with the self-love, you know, self-love is, again, you know, there are a lot of questions.
Yeah.
A lot of time if we talk about religion, religion teaches us don't think about yourself. Think about others. But can we exist, can we think about others without thinking about ourselves? That is the basic problem where we have gone wrong, actually.
I agree. Because, you know what, the way I look at it these days, the first relationship in life is with me. Now, if that is dysfunctional, that dysfunctionality is projected onto all my other relationships. You know, you know how some people are very difficult.
No, at times we very proudly say, I never think about myself. I always think about others. I always want to do for others. But I think that is where we are going wrong.
We are. Because, you know, often I say that, for instance, a mother, if a mother is looking after herself and has a self-respect, then, you know, she will be a wonderful mother, she'll be a wonderful wife, she'll be a wonderful worker, whatever. Male is the same thing, but if I'm empty internally, then that's projected on relationships. They go up and down. One day it's good, one day it's bad. One day there's conflict, one day there's not, you know. And that's exhausting, and that's how most people are living today. And they blame others. They don't realize it's their own lack of self-respect which misinterprets everything. I've seen people who are shown love by other people, but lack of self-respect means I can't accept it. I don't feel good enough. I don't feel... And even when people say good things, I interpret them badly because my own subconscious programming in my sanskaras of inferiority is interpreting everything in a negative way. I feel that the most important gift to children today is true self-respect, not hypey arrogance, you know, because sometimes that's how it comes over, but deep, rich sense of spiritual self-value. I'm a soul, I'm a child of God is the bedrock to create a foundation of self-value.
Beautiful. So creating the self-love, the real understanding of the true self, and then loving that self, you know.
Absolutely.
That becomes the base of our life, and if we actually start from there, everything starts happening. So from self-love to God's love.
Yeah.
You know, and then we'll come to the relationships, because of course they are the most, and for us, you know, what we have done actually in our lives is we have given the most important thing for us is the relationships. We forgot about ourselves and we forgot about relationship with God. Somewhere the most important thing which remained was the relationships, you know, love in that relationships. So that can only exist if we are filled with these two loves.
Yes.
Somewhere that's what I feel, you know, now today.
Yeah. It is the foundation of quality relationships.
So,
and you know, for me, a lot of people feel some love for God. But when we don't know ourselves, when we're body conscious, the way I see it, it's like God's on the FM dial. When I'm body conscious, like I'm on the AM dial. I know the FM dial exists, but I can't tune in. To actually have a relationship with God, I've got to go up to the FM dial. I've got to become soul conscious. And this is deep work over a period of time, because one of the things I think on this journey, body consciousness is so deep. It's my ego which makes me flip from, it's so deep. And yet when I become soul conscious, I resonate on the same frequency as God. God is really close. It's not that I believe in God, I feel and taste this natural, it's the lover of the soul. I'm in love with the lover of the soul. And this is the love which does the magic, because there's an American psychiatrist. Did you ever hear of Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross? She's a very famous psychiatrist, and her feeling was that most human beings carry a lot of grief, deep grief inside. And when we lose something like a relationship, a loved one, it opens a wound that's already existing. Even when we lose something small, this deep grief comes out. Because her belief is that the original loss was the connection and the love of God.
God, I think, yeah, very true.
And that's the wound. And whenever we lose a loved one, a relationship, it opens this wound that somewhere I lost this perfect connection with God, which is the ultimate beauty of life, to be in love with the most loving and the one who will always accept and love me regardless.
Wonderful. And I think the way, you talked about it, it's actually when we start getting connected with Him, the wound starts healing, Then the memories,
Totally.
the memories, don't come back, because now the connection is again there.
Yeah.
So there's no wound, like I'm not hurt anymore. I don't remember that hurt when that connection. I can actually totally understand why, we always feel that. The moment we lose something or some small thing, the wound, I'm saying, it reopens.
Yeah. I think, often if you ask people what's given you the most happiness in life, they'll say relationships. Next question, what's given you the most sorrow?
Relationship.
It's true, isn't it?
So then that's what we always say, love and hate stay together. Love and pain is like part of, it's like the face of the same coin, but I don't think so.
Yeah,
we can have the coin and the face can be similar, and that can be love. You can turn the coin any way you want. Love will remain.
Love will remain, yeah.
So here I'm saying, because we are moving ahead and the episode time doesn't stay with you. It's like when we talk about love, time doesn't stay. Actually, it flows. It's like we fall in love with ourselves, understanding the true self, and then that true self is so beautiful that we fall in love, and we fall in love. Again, we heal that wound which had taken us away from God. Now I just want you to talk about how these two loves is gonna help me in the relationships. What will happen in my relationships now?
Yeah. What I feel is, the relationship with the self and God is permanent. And that rebuilds all my sense of security. So when I come into relationship with you, I don't fear that, will you accept me, won't you accept me, because I'm already sort of feeling secure. And one of the things I've learned is that when I meet you too, I don't sort of immediately, as we do, see you physically and judge you on all those levels. You know how in 1 second we often make a whole lot of assumptions about somebody. Actually, I start to see you as the soul, really as my soul friend in that way. And I feel whenever you meet anyone, even in the family, in business, and you look beyond the facade, whether it's attractive or not so attractive to me, but I look and see the soul, people feel you're talking to them, you're honoring them, and they feel it as respect. To me, when I have my self-respect and the relationship with God, I can give respect to everyone. That is a true leader. What people want in the world today is leaders that value others, They're not in the position for their own gain, their own arrogance. A true leader is a server, and the most powerful, a good leader will win respect for the people. A great leader will create self-respect in others. And I think my relationships, when we have that platform, become really beautiful because I learn not to take sorrow from other people.
Because they are not responsible for my happiness. Now I am responsible for my happiness. I am responsible for loving myself, and then of course I have somebody who's ready to give me, who's giving me unconditional love. It was me only who was not even understanding that.
That's right.
So here another thing which can happen, because in the beginning only you talked about that that love you'll give will come back, law of attraction will work. But before it was very difficult to give love.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know, how will I have only this much love, how will I give?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't have it, I want it. But now I think once I'm content, I am happy with myself, I am so much loved by myself and by him, I think it becomes easier for us to give.
Absolutely, and it's natural. You don't feel. And you know, one of the things which I feel when we go deep into spirituality, you know, whenever we relate to somebody, you know, the real impact is not what we say, it's the feelings. And you know, 90% of all communication, like you and I are talking to each other, 90% is non-verbal.
The thoughts.
Yeah, and so it's the feelings. And actually, if you get two messages from someone, one is what they say and one is what you feel, you always trust your feelings. What happens with a meditator is you start to have clean thoughts, pure thoughts, thoughts of respect and love. And people feel that.
Yes,
and they feel relaxed with you. They feel good. If I hold assumptions and criticisms, even at the back of my mind, what I've learned is all thoughts are public. If we think my thoughts are private, I think we're innocent.
Yeah.
People feel what's in my mind. They do.
And again, you know, the definition of truth is when you're true in your mind, in your what you are speaking, and in your heart, you know, and in your deeds.
Yeah.
The definition of truth is that it should be one. The thoughts, the voice, the sound, and the deeds.
Yeah.
They should be in sync.
Yep.
You know, that's the truth. And that is what reaches out to people. Wonderful.
And people will trust you.
Yes,
they will trust
definitely.
you.
And I can understand, I can vouch for it, that complete trust starts happening. Brother Charlie, it was so beautiful to talk about love in the real sense, in the true sense and understanding, and the way it starts, you know, transmitting. The moment we talk about love, the moment we understand who we are, and the moment we start feeling that love, it starts flowing, you know, it's there in the atmosphere everywhere, you can feel it. It was so wonderful to have you with us, and we actually don't feel that we've met today.
Yeah, I feel the same.
You know, so
I've really enjoyed it. It's been lovely to speak to you.
It's a journey which I think continues to carry on, and maybe if you are in Sydney or in India, it doesn't really matter. So it was great to have you with us.
Thank you so
and
much
our
for
viewers
having me.
learned a lot. It's a family now. We have so many people getting connected. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
अगर हम प्यार की बात करते हैं तो चाहे भारतीय हो, चाहे किसी भी देश के नागरिक हों, जब हम सोल कॉन्शियसनेस में हैं, जब हम उस ऊर्जा में जी रहे होते हैं, तो फिर जैसा हम शुरू में भी कह चुके हैं कि हर देश या वर्ग या किसी भी जाति की सीमाएं जो हैं वो हमें बांध नहीं सकती हैं। ये प्यार का भाव है और प्यार का जो बहाव है वो यूं ही चलता रहता है। जहाँ खुद से प्यार की शुरुआत हो जाती है, जब हम खुद से प्यार करने लगते हैं और ईश्वर के उस परमात्मा के उस प्यार को अपने जीवन में महसूस करने लगते हैं, तब वो प्यार ऑटोमेटिकली बाहर तक चला जाता है। आपका प्यार हम तक पहुंचता है आपके ईमेल्स और आपके फ़ोन द्वारा, और उम्मीद करते हैं कि हमारा प्यार भी आप तक ज़रूर पहुंचता होगा। आपके ईमेल्स और फ़ोन कॉल्स हम तक पहुंचते रहते हैं। अगर आप और भी कुछ बात हमसे करना चाहते हैं, आपका स्वागत है।
If you wish to discuss your problem or have a question to ask or want to know your nearest Rajyoga meditation center, call us on 09999744555.
अवेकनिंग विद ब्रह्मा कुमारीज का ये सिलसिला यूं ही चलता रहेगा। आपकी और हमारी ये बातचीत भी यूं ही आगे चलती रहेगी। आज आपसे विदा लेते हैं। ओम शांति। ओम शांति।